another edition of the Contractor's Secret Weapon weekly podcast with your hosts, Dave Negri. This program is dedicated to helping contractors, remodelers, painters, roofers, roof cleaners, and business owners in the construction industry gain an unfair advantage over the competition. This program supplies you with information that the competition doesn't even know exists. This session brought to you by ContractorsSecretWeapon.com.
Before we get into the conversation with you, I just want to do a shout out to our sponsors who help promote Contractor's Secret Weapon and just some of the things that they have in store for you, our listeners. Hey, is your phone ringing enough? Do you want it to ring more with highly motivated and qualified buyers that contact you, the contractor, directly? No more waiting for the phone to ring. Just answer that phone. Best Home Services leads are dedicated to making your phone ring with motivated buyers that call you directly. There's no obligation to talk with them. Just go to ContractorSecretWeapon.com/money. Fill out the form to secure your discount on the setup fee. Do it today. This special will not last forever. Check them out at ContractorSecretWeapon.com/money.
Running a small business is no easy task, and I should know because I had a service company for almost 10 years. I am the founder of a software called Radius Bomb, and it's unbelievable. And for all the listeners of Contractor's Secret Weapon, we have a special offer for you to check out. If you want to send hyper-targeted, laser-focused, super personalized postcards to your exact prospects using a map while sitting in your underwear, then go to ContractorSecretWeapon.com/Radius Bomb, and we'll give you your first 100 postcards for free. Just go to ContractorSecretWeapon.com/Radius Bomb.
Hey, this is Dave Negri with Contractor's Secret Weapon. I just hope you're having a great week, another great day, and I just wanted to introduce this next guest to you. Her name is Whitney Nicely. She's an entrepreneur who went from selling dump trucks to becoming the queen of real estate investing in East Tennessee. Whitney started to chase her passion and fine-tune her skills in the real estate market after college. She flipped her first house in 2009. Last year, she flipped 6 houses while planning her October wedding. Whitney's real estate portfolio has grown from zero, zilch, nada, to 17 residential houses, 19 apartment units, and 7 chunks of vacant land across East Tennessee. Whitney is married and is the stepmom to 2 kids ages 10 and 12. She's passionate about teaching married couples how to build a side business together that helps them plan for retirement and doesn't break them up in the process, which is kind of exciting. One of the reasons I brought Whitney on today is because she has a lot of things going for her. She has passion. She's got a business. She's has systems and goals, and she's, as we go through the interview, she has a unique way of creating a real estate portfolio, and I think you'll find it very exciting. So let's get with Whitney right now. Whitney, it's so great to have you with us today. I am glad that you're going to share with us and your expertise. And so I want to really tell our listeners, how did you get started? Where did you come from in starting your housing business? So you went from selling dump trucks to becoming the queen of real estate. How did that happen?
Well, it was a slower process than most people want to think, but it all happens in the blink of an eye.
Yep.
I'm the fourth generation entrepreneur, and I was trucking with my family. My great-grandfather started this trucking company in 1939, and I started trucking after college. So I was trucking during the day, and I was flipping furniture at night, and then I got to where I was making more money flipping trucks than flipping furniture. And then I got to flipping houses with mom and dad, and that was really fun. So I did 5 or 6 flips with them before I did my very first flip in 2014, and I haven't looked back since.
Cool.
After the training wheels come off, you can't hardly go back and put them back on.
No, because you're not falling down. You just keep going slowly, and you keep pedaling, and every once in a while you do come. But yeah, it's hard to stop once you get rolling, isn't it?
It is, but real estate's just like that bicycle analogy. You got to keep moving, or you'll topple over.
So, I noticed that you love teaching this, the whole aspect of buying and selling real estate to couples. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to bring you on the show, because I know that with every successful business owner, there's systems, there's goals, and then there's great outcomes because of that. What are some of the things that you had to learn as you progressed once you got off your training wheels?
Well, flipping has its own system and process, but buying houses and finding off-market properties, that's another system and process you have to figure out. And then talking to talking to buyers, talking to tenant buyers, talking to tenants, that's a different conversation and a different strategy you got to have. So all of it is one big great system, but there's lots of different moving parts within it. It's just like a house. Real estate is just like a house. In a house, there's the plumbing system, there's the electric system, there's the heat and air system, and there's, all sorts of things going on. And that's just like it is in the real estate business. There's all sorts of different things going on, but it all comes together to make one big business.
Makes sense. And I guess you have to, now, did you decide to go after a specific type of house in a particular area when you first started?
When I started, I realized that everybody was flipping houses and there was a bunch of activity in one little area of town. And then there was another little area of town where there was a bunch of money and a bunch of more flippers and investors. And there was just a whole lot of stuff going on. But then when I looked, there was another area in the next county, and it had just as much activity, but there weren't any investors, there weren't any flippers, there weren't any wholesalers. So I went to the next county over and started talking to people. And I did about 10 deals in the next county, another 2 deals in another different county than where I live. And then the next year I came back to my county and did 15 deals because I was experienced. I knew what to say. I knew what the process was going to be. But I went away from where everybody else was going to, get my bumps and bruises kind of out of the way so I didn't embarrass myself in front of people that really knew me.
Well, that makes sense. But one of the things that I hear you saying is a lot of business owners, you didn't just go after the crowd. You really looked for a hole in the marketplace and found that hole and started working that to gain your experience so you could come back and then compete with the people in your area.
I still don't really compete with the people in my area. I really have a honey hole out in that other county, and I have a honey hole right around my house.
Okay.
And I don't really compete. And even if I was competing, my style is so much different as anybody else that's going to come in. I still don't feel like there's much competition. I mean, there's lots of people buying and selling houses and renting houses, but there's more houses out there than I can buy.
I know. It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not worried about the competition.
Yeah, because you're either going to make, and it's like any other business, you're either going to make the deal or you're not. And a lot of it really has to do with your personality, how you handle things, the way you talk to people, the way you relate to people, and that's you're basically when I know when we did it, we were not really buying a house. We were selling ourselves, and then they were deciding on whether they really wanted to sell that house to us or not.
I do a lot of work to find out about the seller and them and find out what their problem is. So I don't really pitch. I present 3 different offers, and usually just by presenting 3 different offers, I found out a lot about them that a lot of other people wouldn't have found out. And so I'm able to help them. And that's what I teach my students how to do. I teach them how to talk to these sellers more than just what are you asking, what are the repairs, and when do you want to leave? Like there's more to know about this property than that.
Yeah. No, I know. And if you can help them solve a problem, then you're in like Flint because they're relating to you. You're taking an interest in them. And it's like any other business. Once you relate and you're not there to sell or buy, in a sense, you're there the thing that makes people wealthy is they are problem solvers.
Absolutely.
So I noticed that this is a great. I'm a big fan in multiple forms of marketing, but I'm also a big fan in multiple streams of income.
Oh, yes.
And so this is a perfect avenue, and because I've done it and I know that it can be done, but it's a perfect avenue for a husband and wife team, isn't it? To do like as a side business, because they don't have to really, they just have to invest some time and to know what they're looking for.
Absolutely, yeah. I buy the houses with my brother, actually.
Okay.
My apartment partner is my husband, and that works out a lot better because I have two different sets of eyes looking at every property, and I have two different goals with the apartments and the houses. So I get to use both of their strengths to my advantage. And I'll tell you that the apartment deals that I've done with my husband, he loves the analytics. He loves to look at the numbers. He loves to check everything every month. He loves that. My brother on the houses, though, he likes to just know that we're making money.
That's great. There's wrong with that,
Yeah. So it works out really well. But I am the kind of person, I hear a lot of people say don't get into business with family, and I'm the direct opposite. I don't want to bring on a partner that I'm not already like tied to. Like I've told them both, you can't get rid of me now.
Right. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. It's easier. You're not going to, you found, there's a lot to say about family. They're not going to give up on you.
No. And the other thing is they already know my strengths. They already know when to get out of my way. They already know which buttons not to push with me. And so instead of creating this new relationship, we're just taking our relationships a little bit different in a different direction in a business relationship.
So let me ask you this: if let's say I wanted to learn more about real estate investing, and I came to you, and I said to you, I said, Whitney, how can I start a business while I'm still working a job, and I want to spend time with my kids too? Is that plausible? Is it feasible?
It's totally possible. I have a self-study program so that you can do that on your own time and implement it in your own time. I had a student this week who cashed her first two deals on Tuesday, made $6,000 on each deal, so she added $12,000 to the income 1st of November.
Cool. That's awesome.
And she's on track. She's got 6 other properties under contract right now, and if she averages 6,000 to 12,000 per, keep going, and she'll hit 6 figures in her spare time. And she has kids. She has a husband. I tried to book a call with her the other day, and she was like, I can't. I got to make dinner. Then we got to eat, and, family time.
Yeah, cool.
And this is totally possible to do as a side business or, as a creative outlet or as, I don't want to say a hobby because it kind of takes over, but I guess good hobbies take over too.
Yeah, they do. But the nice part about it is, if you can do something, especially if a husband and wife that are going in two separate directions, as far as work goes, this would be a great thing that could, bring them together to do something unified to actually build something for their, more for their retirement as, an ongoing income and stuff like that, and do things together.
And I broke it down. If I can help you buy a house and you get option fees on it, great. But if I can help you create $300 a month per property and you just do one deal a month, which anywhere in the country you should be able to find a deal where you could create $300 a month. So if you do that for 2 years, that's 24 months times $300. That's going to get you up to bringing in an extra $7,200 a month every month.
Right. And that's not counting the equity that's building in.
Exactly. That's not non-refundable option fees. That's not accidental assignments. That's just monthly income. And $7,200 a month is enough to retire on. It's enough to bring your spouse home on. A lot of people, and that's just 2 years. If you go for the third year, now we're at $10,000 a month. Now we're bringing in an extra, 6 figures a year that we don't have to clock in for. It's beautiful, and it doesn't have to be that you're trying to get $100,000 on your first deal. No, 300 slow and steady over 2 or 3 years is $10,000 a month.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And like I said, also too, you've got they're paying down the house, and so you've got equity in there, and then later on you can do stuff with that equity if you want to, or you can just let them pay the house off.
Absolutely.
That's the goal. So you mentioned something that I didn't go past me, but it may have gone over the heads of some of our listeners, is option fees. Talk about, do you do a lot of lease options?
I do almost all lease options.
Okay.
If I can't get owner financing, I do a lease option. So I'm not cashing out any of these houses. I don't put any money into them. I just start making the payments in 3 months, and then I get somebody to give me $10 or $15 or $40,000 to move into the house, and maybe I give the seller $1,000, but I made $9, $14, or $39,000 on a non-refundable option fee, and then I create at least $300 a month. I've got some where I make $300 a month. I've got some $500 a month. I've got some others, but for
no, I understand. Yeah.
the most part, those big $10, $15, $20,000 option fees, that'll set your month on fire.
Yeah, I know. I've been there. I've done that. So that's a whole different side of buying and selling, which is, but doing the options can be exciting if done correctly. You can make a lot of money, and you can, it's sort of like, I was talking to somebody, or I just read somebody's book the other day, and he started off pretty much in the same way you did. He started selling cars. Taking a car, fixing it up, and selling it. But he'd sell it on payments.
Oh yeah, I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
And then he said the first car that I sold, he said I made $4,000 that first year on it because it turned over 3 times.
Yeah.
So I think let's play with the lease option because that's probably one of the easiest ways to get into real estate investing. And we did a lot of that. Matter of fact, we did a lot of subject twos, and we did a lot of lease options. And so explain to our audience what is the basics of a lease option.
So a lease option is very simply a fancy rental agreement that also gives you the opportunity to buy the house in a certain number of years. It doesn't have to be any more complicated than that. And I know everybody knows somebody that has a mortgage on their house. I mean, you know people with a mortgage on the house, right? If those people decided they wanted to rent the house, nobody would think twice about that. Like, that would not be weird, would it?
No.
And if those people decided that they wanted to sell the house, that wouldn't be weird either. I mean, people would be like, all right, fine, you're going to sell your house, right?
Yeah.
So all I do is get both of those two situations in one piece of paper. So I'm renting it while I'm buying it. Or as from the seller side, you're selling it while I'm renting it from you. And I take care of all the maintenance, all the repairs, all that stuff in the meantime.
So I know what you're saying, but let me break it down to one step, maybe a little bit simpler. You're going and you're finding someone who wants to sell their house, or they may even want to rent it let's just say they want to sell it.
Yep.
And you'll say, oh, Mr. Homeowner, I would love to buy your house, but I want to do it, let's say in a couple of years. And I'll rent your house from you, or have the option to rent your house from you, and then I'll buy it at X amount of date. And in the meantime, you find someone on the other end, because they don't want to do it, or they don't know how to do it, you find someone on the other end that wants to buy a house in this nice, beautiful neighborhood, and
Yep.
you're willing to put $5 or $10 or $15 or $20,000 down in order to secure that piece of property so that they can buy it within the next 4 years. The next year. Okay,
Yep.
so you're giving yourself a 4-year leadway. Okay, that's great. So they'll buy it within the next year. And if they don't, you've got time to do it again. And if they do, then everyone wins, and that's all in your course.
Absolutely.
So that's a sweet deal. That's easier. That's easier than going out and borrowing money from the bank.
Totally. The only mortgage I have in my name is the apartments. And honestly, every time somebody gives me $10 or $15 or $20, $40,000 in a non-refundable option fee, I don't go to Vegas on that. I pay off one of my houses. So a lot of my houses are free and clear, and I still don't have any money invested in it.
Right, because everyone else has paid down your bills.
Yeah, for sure. I had 16 rental houses and 19 apartment units, and I was living in my mom's rental house. I don't have my own house.
Well, why? I mean, really, what's the difference? Why do you need one? I mean, a lot of people.
I know.
Everyone
I've got other.
Yeah. Everyone has the wrong idea about why they own a house.
Yep.
And it goes way back to the 1930s when, they said, well, if I owned my house, nobody could take it away. Well, it's so hard for them to take it away now.
Yep.
Because of the new laws and stuff. So if it's cheaper to rent than it is to buy, then by goodness, rent and invest in other stuff.
Absolutely.
That was a big thing in California years ago when, the houses were going to $1 million and stuff. It was people couldn't rent them for anything. They could only rent them for $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a month, but they couldn't. That's the most they could rent them. So people were going out and selling their houses for $1 million and finding somebody that would rent them a house for $2,500.
Yep.
That's a no-brainer.
Yep.
No-brainer. So it sounds like you're having a lot of fun doing it.
I do. I have a blast, and I have just as much fun doing my own deals, I think, as helping my students do their deals too. Like, that's the part of it I love, is the negotiations and talking to the sellers and helping other people, be able to live out their dreams. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, that sounds so cool. So, going back to like a question, like your student that's a mom, how did she start her business? Did she just dedicate time? I've only got this to do, and how did she dedicate time to start her business?
She sent yellow letters to homeowners, and She only sends out 10 or 15 letters a week.
Okay.
And she's been sending them for not even 8 weeks, and she's got 8 deals under contract. She's almost got 1 contract per week since she's been with me, sending 10 or 15 letters a week.
Wow.
And she had no previous real estate experience. She hadn't been through somebody else's course. She's not licensed. And it doesn't take, like, when you get so focused in on who you help and where you're going, it doesn't take 1,500 postcards a week. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I know, it's kind of funny, and I know what the yellow letter says because we mailed out thousands of them. So you don't need a formal education to do this. You can just
nope, and you don't need a real estate license.
I know, that's the cool thing. That really freaks out a lot of real estate.
Well, if you think about it, there isn't a license to buy houses.
No, there's not a license to sell houses.
No, there's a license to represent other people buying and selling houses.
Right. And when you have an option on a house, you have an equity share in that that house. So technically, you don't need you don't need that. So yeah, I know. I have a brother in Connecticut that's a licensed real estate broker, and he only deals with investors because he only wholesales as a real estate broker.
That's cool.
Yeah, and he owns apartment complexes. He has a lot of fun.
I say all the time that the best agents I know are also investors, but the best investors I know don't have a license.
Right, because it bogs them down. It's the crazy stuff that, how do you fill out this form? Well, you just fill out this and fill out this and fill out this. There's no recourse because I'm not representing anybody in any kind of way. I'm not representing them, so I can't be held liable because I'm buying.
Exactly.
So let's see, so we don't need a formal education, we don't need certificates, so we don't need anything that will get in our way for us to be successful in investing in real estate.
Only your own head.
Only your own head.
What you got going on in your own head will get you messed up on a lot of different ways, a lot of different deals.
Well, yeah, I'm sure. So how would let's say that I wanted to start my business, how would I start my business with my spouse? And I love this, and stay married. It's not like hanging wallpaper.
No, you definitely need to be really clear about who's going to do what, who's going to check up on what, who's going to call and make sure that this, that, and the other happened. And we kind of divided and conquered. I gave him more of the responsibility for the 16 units.
Right.
And I take care of our little triplex. So I keep it rented. I get the repairs done on it. I make sure that everything's good to go on it. And we have a property manager for the 16 units,
Sure.
but I don't really have any kind of communication with her. He deals with anything that needs to be approved on those, and she keeps it rented because there's 16 of them, and that would be an awful full-time job.
Yeah.
It's like adult daycare. But
Not
we
only that,
pretty
but
much
that's not a good use of your time.
right. But we let her do most of that, but the triplex doesn't take a lot of my time either. I did put a new tenant in it today, but our last tenant moved out on Tuesday, so that's not bad.
No, not at all.
And it's mostly just a text message. They say, "Hey, we put the rent in the bank," and I say, "Great, have a good month."
I know, it's pretty awesome, isn't it? When they just respond nicely and all the money gets to where it needs to go, you don't have to go chasing them or anything like that. That's the awesome part.
I'm not going to chase anybody. I make sure I put good people in my unit. And then I don't think people like helicopter landlords.
Right.
Like a landlord that's going to drive by and check and knock and want to inspect and look at it and make sure you don't. Come on, give me a break. I am not going to hover my properties. In fact, I don't want to see it again until you leave. Okay? So I think because I respect their space and let them live there and realize that I'm not living there with them, and if they don't clean up, I don't care. I'm going to throw their crap away anyway when they leave. Yeah. So I don't hover, and therefore they respect me and don't blow me up. They do what they need to do, and I do what I need to do, and we have a nice, happy little life, and I set them up like that from the beginning. Yeah. I will say, though, I love my bug guy. He goes in once a month and sprays for bugs and lets me know if, there's a pot operation in one of the closets.
Never thought about that. Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah.
But for $5 or $10 a month, he will drive out there and look at everything for me, and I don't have to.
Yeah. Nice.
And the bugs get sprayed. I mean, it's a 2-for-1. It's totally worth it.
It most certainly is. That's pretty awesome. This has really been awesome, interesting, because I think a lot of our listeners who are looking for different things, in their slow season, this is a great thing for them to wrap their head around and get an idea and start, or if they're just looking for something else, other income for their retirement, because that's one of the reasons we started the real estate investing back in 2005, is that we had plenty of income coming in from other areas. Then I would just started doing the buying and the selling and keeping, and we did a lot of lease options. Matter of fact, they're the sweetest thing in the world.
I love them. I have a blast with them. And, a lot of my students are taking what I teach in lease options and buying duplexes, triplexes, quadplexes, like little, multifamilies with a lease option. They're still not cashing those out.
Wow.
I love it. I love it. They're taking what I teach them and they put their own spin on it, and they're making more money than, I did when I started.
That's
and I love
terrible.
it.
That's just
no,
terrible.
I love it.
I'm just teasing. I think that's awesome. This has really been fun. There's been a lot of great information for our listeners, just in looking at systems and goals, and doing the right things at the right time, and looking for information that will help you become better at what you do. Is there anything that I missed that you wanted on the back of your mind you really wanted to talk about?
No, I think we've been great here.
Okay, so how do our listeners get in touch with you?
You can go to whitneynicely.com. I've got a cheat sheet that you can sign up for. It's like 20 pages. I don't know why I call it a cheat sheet, but it'll be everything that you really need to get started and kind of get some of your fears fluffed out and get going. So if you go to whitneynicely.com, there's a little link up there at the top that you can get the cheat sheet, or you can check out how to get your first deal done fast with me.
Cool. All right. We're going to put that in our show notes. And everybody go. If you're looking... really, honestly, real estate is probably the only thing that stayed steady and constant for the last gazillion years. It always goes up, even on the low side, it'll go up 3% a year. And if it gets up higher than that, that's scary. Just don't look for more. But go to Whitney's webpage and look it up, and honestly, you'll really get surprised at, especially what she's doing, because I've talked to a lot of investors, through the years, and she's got a nice cookie cutter operation. And so, Whitney, thanks so much for being with us today and sharing.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Again, I want to thank you for joining us and investing your time with us today. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode, and if you did, go to iTunes and give us a shout out. You can also go to our website, www.contractorsecretweapon.com, and check out today's episode and leave us a comment in the bottom of the page. And if you haven't gotten your 15 secret weapon strategies to getting higher end customers, get it while you're at the website. Also, I want to thank again our sponsors for keeping this podcast alive for your profit-making pleasure. And so go be profitable this week. Work smarter, not harder, and learn how to leverage your time and your knowledge so that you can be more profitable. Again, see you next week.
Thanks for joining us for another weekly episode of the Contractor's Secret Weapon Podcast with Dave Negri. We would love to hear your comments about this episode, so visit us online at www.contractorsecretweapon.com and let us hear your thoughts. If you are listening via iTunes, please leave us a positive review. The more positive reviews we receive, the more other contractors will benefit from this show. Thank you, and see you next time here on the Contractor's Secret Weapon Podcast.